So the theme we've got for the time being is the theme of free breath. And I want to introduce another aspect of free breath this morning. Depending on where we direct our attention, our breathing will flow in a different way. That's one of the basic principles of the free breath approach, Heinz Grill's free breath approach. Very often we direct our breathing into our rib cage area here. That's where the breathing can flow most fully, and it gives a feeling of great expansion, of great spaciousness, of great openness to the outside world when we breathe into that region. We're going to start with that breathing again today when we do the sun prayer. And then we're going to move to deeper breathing. We're going to move to this region down here, the region of the pelvis and the sacrum. And we're going to do some exercises that work more with the legs. And we can experience how working with the legs, the breath is naturally guided down more into the depth, right into the depth of the pelvis. We can imagine it in that way. And this brings a different effect. It brings effect of a fair amount of calmness and also of strength, a much more centered feeling of being grounded in the earth. So let's start with the sun prayer. If you'd like to come to a standing position. So we're going to focus on allowing the breath to flow fully into these sides here. Take the hands together and take the arms up. And we can just grow actively upwards out of the rib cage into the height above us. Take the hands down, look down towards the ground. Take the right foot back. Come right up into the half moon, growing from the rib cage. Then come into the plank. Take the knees down, hollow the back, drop the face down and slide along the ground, opening into the cobra. Push into the downward dog. Take the right foot forward, half moon, growing actively up, right up through to the fingertips. And the left foot forward, looking towards the ground. Open up once again and lengthen, streaming up. Hands down. Take the hands together. Arms up and grow. And take the hands down, look down towards the mat. Left foot back. Opening up and grow. Come into the plank. Take the knees down, drop the face down, slide along the ground and open into the cobra. Push into the downward dog. Left foot forward. Half moon. And the right foot forward. Look towards the mat. Come up once again and grow. And take the hands by your sides. Let's explore this quality of very expansive breathing that comes when we open our rib cage. Look into the room around you. I'm in my yoga studio this morning, so it's very spacious. Some of you have been here, you know what it's like. High ceilings, spacious room. I'm in here all on my own, so it feels very spacious, and there's the light coming in now through the windows Take the arms through that wide open space and let the breath flow in and let the breath flow out. Once again, the breath flows in. You can open the ribs and the breath flows out as you close. Let's do another round with this thought of spaciousness. Feet together, hands together. Take the arms up, lifting the rib cage and streaming up into the space above you. Soften the knees, look down towards the ground. Take the right foot back, good base with the legs, and then grow actively up, streaming right up to the fingertips. Come into the plank. Take the knees down, hollow the back face down. Cobra. Downward dog. Right foot forward. Take the arms up and grow into the half moon. Other foot forward. And as you come up, really be aware of the breath expanding into the ribs and take the hands down. Once again, take the hands together. Take the arms up and a good active lengthening right up through to the fingertips. Then take the hands down, look towards the mat. Left foot back, allow the breath in. Wide open, expansive breath. Then come into the plank. Take the knees down, face down, slide along the ground, curl into the cobra. Push into the downward dog, triangle. Left foot forward, half moon, and grow. And then the right foot forward, looking towards the ground. And then open right up and grow. Lengthening. And take the hands by your sides. Full free breaths. So we'll move to our exercises for moving down into the pelvis now. We're going to do warrior 2. So I'm taking my socks off so it's less slippery. And you can take your left foot to point out sideways, your right foot to face forwards. And then take the knee so it comes down directly over the left foot. Make sure the knee doesn't sort of tilt in too much, but keep it really open. And at the same time, try and open out this hip, the right hip. So your whole pelvis is more facing forwards. So it feels like you've really got a contraction now, right in the center of the pelvis. Stay with that feeling. The breath, if we think about it, we can imagine the breath naturally being drawn down into the depth of the pelvis. Let's change the legs around to the other side. The feet face forwards, then take the right foot out to the side. Keep that knee open to the right, the hip open, being drawn towards the left. Bend until your knee is directly over your ankle. And just pause with an upright spine, imagining that your breath is being drawn down into the depth of the pelvis. Change sides once again. Left foot out, right foot facing forwards. Open the left knee and the right hip as if they come outwards away from each other. You feel that contraction inwards to the center of the pelvis. This time, take the arms up and we're going to grow upwards with the upper body. So we've got a strong activity of the legs moving outwards, the body moving upwards, and imagine that the breath is drawn down to the center of the pelvis. When we talk about free breath, that movement of the breath isn't contrived, but we picture it and allow it to happen in a natural way. Come back again. Take the hands down, change the feet around. The right knee comes directly over the ankle, the left hip opens outwards. The spine is upright, raise up the arms, gliding right up to the fingertips. The breath is drawn into the depth of the pelvis. And then return again. Take the hands down. Just clasp the hands behind your back and hang forwards. You can let the hands drop over your head if possible. Just stay in this position for a little while so you can allow the stretch in the backs of your legs to increase. And then roll back up. Right. And if you've got cold feet, you're allowed to put your socks back on now. And we'll come to another forward bend. We'll come to the head to knee position over one leg. So for this one, you can bend one leg outwards. If you want to sit on a cushion, if this knee is coming up off the ground, just sit on a cushion or a yoga block if you've got one. And that can help that knee to come a bit lower. So this is another exercise where we can imagine the breath flowing down into the depth of the pelvis. The legs flow along the ground. Stay with that sensation. As the breath is drawn down, you can take your arms up and imagine that your body streams upwards into the height through the spine, up through the arms, up to the fingertips. The breath is drawn into the depth of the pelvis. Take the hands down. Let's change over to the other side. Legs flow along the ground. The spine is directed upwards. And now imagine this, the breath is drawn into the depth of the pelvis. Means that we're bringing a subtle contraction right into the center of the pelvis, strengthening those core muscles. Take the hands down. Change the legs around again. So one of the bizarre things about these movements, we're talking about the second chakra, the sacrum now, is that we have the feeling that the legs flow out along the ground. And at the same time, there's a centering inwards. Let's do this movement. You can just move out over, perhaps take the bent side, take the hand behind your back, and with the straightened side, grow outwards over the leg. Okay, change over to the other side. The legs flow out along the ground. Take the bent arm behind the back, and with the straightened side, grow outwards over the leg, as if you're lengthening the leg back along the ground. Let the breath flow. Let's change sides again. What's important with this is that you're not striving forward with your upper body like this, But rather, if you think of just doing it with the legs, you push your straightened leg backwards along the ground. And with that thought, the body glides forwards effortlessly. Let's have a go a little bit further. Push the leg further and farther back. Change sides again. Same idea. The legs do the work. Lengthen that leg backwards. And just let the body glide naturally forwards, as if by itself. Return again, one more time, change sides, and this time let's come back to our thought about the breathing. The breath is guided into the depth of the pelvis, bent arm behind the back. Think of the leg, the long leg lengthens backwards. The breath is guided into the depth of the pelvis. Keep flowing outwards. Return again. Change sides. Keeping the neck and the head free. Think of that long leg along the ground, as if it's gliding backwards with the sitting bone. And with that, the breath is guided into the depth of the pelvis. We talk about free breath, so we don't force the breath in. We just think of it gliding into the depth. And then return again. So take your right foot over your left knee. I'm going to come to the sitting twist position. But we'll start just in this sitting position like this. So your left leg is bent up. If you can't manage that, just straighten out the left leg like that. Otherwise, you can bend it in. And just come into an upright position. Let's come back to that same thought. The breath is guided down into the depth of the pelvis. With that thought, with the breath being drawn down, the spine seems to flow up. It's an interesting contrast. The breath is drawn down into the depth of the pelvis. The spine flows upwards out of that depth. Let's take the arms up. Stay with that thought. As the breath flows down into the depth of the pelvis, an energy is set free right out of that pelvic depth, which carries the spine and the arms upwards. Take the hands down. Let's change the legs around. So the breath is guided down into the depth of the pelvis. It gives you a feeling of really being rooted down into the ground. The arms come up. And make that mental picture. We don't draw the breath down intentionally, but we imagine that a stream of breath energy finds its way all the way down into the depth. And with that, the energy is sent upwards again through the spine, carrying it upwards into a vertical line. The breath is guided into the depth of the pelvis. And take the arms down. Change your legs around again, and this time we'll come right into the sitting twist position. Same starting position. Think of the breath being guided down into the pelvis. With that comes the rising up through the spine. Take the arms up. And now twist to your right towards the bent leg. Take the right hand behind you and hug your knee closely into your body with the left arm, looking over your right shoulder. Let's come back to that same thought. The breath is drawn down into the depth of the pelvis. where it brings about a strengthening, a concentrating of our life forces. And with that, the spine can more easily be upright and the head can become free. Straighten up once again, take the arms up and take the hands down. Change around to the other side. Left foot over the right leg, straighten up your back. Think of that breath being drawn down into the center of the pelvis. Raise up the arms. Twist to your left. Take the hand right down and then hug the arm around your leg. Come back to that central thought. The breath is guided down, drawn down into the depth of the pelvis. And with that, the head becomes free. And then straighten up once again. Take the arms up above the head and take the hands by your sides. So would you like to come back up to a standing position? Let's do a few more exercises, standing exercises, to really energize this pelvic region and also the legs. Standing in a good upright line, make sure that you press your left foot into the ground as you raise your right leg up. So the legs come apart, away from each other. Do the other side. The right foot goes down. The left leg comes up. Let's do that again. I'd like to call this giant's footsteps. Raise your leg as high as you can. Change over to the other side. What helps the balance is to really contract in the pelvis. You start to feel a drawing in this region again. Let's take hold of this right knee and draw it up towards you, up towards your chest. Then let go and see if you can hold it there. And come down. Right foot presses down. Left knee comes up. As high as you can. Let go with your hands and hold the knee there. So you're really tightening in your pelvis. And come back down. And let's do some leg kicks. So a good step and kicking up, so a bit more dynamic. And the other one, step down and kick right up. Have a go, seeing if you can put your hand at head height, step down and kick right up. Other side, hand at head height, step down, kick right up. And if you can do that easily enough, take your hand even higher. Right up. And the other side, step right up. Right, so let's have a go at the standing splits, a more challenging one. It doesn't matter if you can't straighten your leg. What's really important with the standing splits is that you don't try and come forwards, bending your body. It's really important to keep the body upright. So start with an upright position right from the start. Let's come back to our thought that the breath is drawn down into the depth of the pelvis. You can take hold of your right foot with your right hand. Imagine, don't try and draw your breath down intentionally, but just imagine it being naturally drawn into the depth of the pelvis. And out of that, we straighten up. Change over to the other side. Good uprightness to start with. Take hold of the left foot with the left hand. Imagine the breath is drawn into the depth of the pelvis. Come back down again. Let's do just an arm movement. You can imagine that your left hand is going down, your right hand is going up. Two directions, making a vertical line as you rise up right through the side, right through the arm, right up through to the fingertips. The other hand goes down towards the ground. Change over to the other side. One hand pointing down and the other side rising right the way up through the whole side. Two opposite directions. Vertical line. So let's come back to the first side again with the standing splits. Stand in a good upright line. This time we're going to raise one leg and also the opposite arm. Think of the breath going into the depth of the pelvis. Raise the leg and the opposite arm. The breath goes down into the depth as you rise up. Come back down again. Stand upright. Take hold of the left foot with the left hand. Think of the breath going into the depth of the pelvis. Rise up as the breath goes down. And come back down again. We'll finish off with an exercise called the earth. You can take your feet together, legs are stable, and roll down with your upper body and just hang. We're going to hang for a little bit of time, a bit longer than we usually do. And in this position, you could imagine that your body is completely subject to the forces of gravity. It just hangs. And then you can glide freely up through the air, light as a feather, right up into the height, growing tall and long. And taller, those life forces that gathered as we hung down now shoot upwards and take your hands down. And just be aware of your breath. We've worked today on allowing the breath to flow right down into the depth of the pelvis. And when this happens, it can have a very strengthening effect on our life forces. We can feel more grounded and also more upright and more ready to gather our strength for the day ahead of us. And so we can finish our session there.